Good morning, Oliver and Graham, and welcome to Wednesday, October 21st. Today we're going to have our Zoom call, but I wanted to introduce you to our Scholastic lesson for the week. So, Mom and Dad, this is going to be the Scholastic lessons on parts of a pumpkin, and the video can be found on the Scholastic website as well as the dance break. But let's just, before you watch the video, let's just talk about some things that we spy in our Scholastic lesson. All right, parts of the pumpkin. A pumpkin has many parts. Which ones can you see? So you can take your pumpkin from yesterday, and we can look and we can see the shell or the outside of the pumpkin. I'm going to get my pretend pumpkin here. Okay, so the outside of the pumpkin is the pumpkin shell, or it's like the apple skin. All right, and then we can look over here and we see the stem. And the stem's usually, when we get our pumpkins, the stem's usually brown. But when the pumpkin's on the vine, our stem is sometimes green. And of course, we know there's seeds in the pumpkin. And I have some seeds over here. Some pumpkin seeds. I don't know if you can see them. I'm trying to get real close. And these are yummy to eat. So you can take the seeds out of your pumpkin and roast them, put a little bit of salt or seasoning on them, and they're so yummy. So we have our stem, we have our seeds, we have our shell, and then we have the mushy, gushy, wet, smelly middle of the pumpkin, which is the pulp. And that's the part that we would, if we were carving a pumpkin, that we're scooping out. And usually when you're scooping out the pulp, that's where you get all the seeds inside mixed in with the pulp. And the flesh of the pumpkin, this part, sorry guys, this part of the pumpkin, that's the part that you would make apple pie, apple on my brain. You would make pumpkin pie with, or use that for pumpkin soup or anything that you're baking. So this is the part that, the flesh of it, the flesh of the pumpkin. All right, so you're going to read about the parts of the pumpkin, and you're also going to watch your video. But look at this guy. How cute. A pumpkin has a stem, and look, this little guy's chewing on the stem. Looks like my Tessa. The pumpkin has a shell. And look at all these fabulous colors that pumpkins come in. There's even a blue pumpkin. I'm going to show you a closer picture of a blue pumpkin. And the pumpkin has the flesh. And if you look at our little friend chewing away, this is the flesh, the part that I said that you're going to make your pumpkin pie or your pumpkin soup with. And down here, look at her face. You can tell that that pulp is the slimy part of the pumpkin. That's the part that you're taking out when you're carving your jack-o'-lantern. And then we just talked about all the seeds. Now we could do a couple things with the seeds. We could take the seeds that we get out of our pumpkin. Here's my seeds that we get out of the pumpkin. And we could roast them. Like I said, roasting them and eating them up is yummy. Or we could use those seeds to plant our crop for next year, to plant our pumpkins for next year. And look at this guy. A pumpkin has a face, and it's called a jack-o'-lantern. And this is when you put maybe a candle inside, or even a fake candle. Moms and dads put that inside for you, so on trick-or-treat or Halloween, you could put that outside. So even if we're not going trick-or-treating this year, we could surely make an awesome pumpkin. All right, I wanted to show you a picture of a blue pumpkin. Because I think it's super cool. Look at these guys. There's a white pumpkin, a blue pumpkin, a red pumpkin, and look at this. Look at that green pumpkin. That's what our pumpkins look like before they become our orange pumpkins. And then I wanted to show you quickly how a pumpkin grows. I don't know if you guys have pumpkins in your backyard. I thought that you did, but in case not, you know that you have to work the soil, put the seed in, cover it up. The rain and the sunshine help it grow to a sprout. Then you see that beautiful flower. And if you look at this flower, look down here. See this circle, this guy right here? That's the start of our pumpkin. And then our pumpkin kind of looks like a little watermelon. And then it goes from there. It's not showing it here, but after green, it turns to yellow. And then it goes to that beautiful orange that we know when it's pumpkin time. Okay, so some worksheets that you're going to do after you watch your video are the pumpkin diagram, and that's all the parts of the pumpkin that we just talked about. And what you're going to do is, I know it's going to be kind of tough to write the words. If you can, that's fine, if mom and dad have time to help you. But you can also draw an arrow. If they're reading the words to you, you can draw an arrow to the parts. But you can also look at our picture right here, which tells you that that's the stem. So you could look up here and you could find stem, and you're going to know that that matches. So this word stem is going to go in this rectangle. So if you want to draw, just draw a line. I'm going to do it both ways for you guys, okay? I'm going to write it, or I'm going to just point to it. Draw an arrow to it. So this is, we know this is the stem. This is the word stem. And we know that because if we look on here, here's the word stem again, and then it's pointing to the stem. So mom and dad, you might need to help a little on this. You can go ahead and color the picture if you want. Remember we said the stem is brown when the puppy was chewing on the brown stem, and the shell is orange. Inside the flesh, the part that you're going to bake with, that's also orange. Your slimy part right here is an orangey yellow, and then your seeds are, I would say orange. Okay, orange or an off-white, but if you're going to use your crayons, use yellow. Did I say seeds are orange? Oh my goodness, I meant yellow if I did say that. Okay, so the second worksheet that you're going to do is show what you know, parts of a pumpkin. You're definitely going to have to reread the parts of the pumpkin, and watch your video to do this part. And mom and dad, you're going to have to help again because there's going to be some reading. Grown-ups can help. Draw a stem on the pumpkin so we know where the stem is on the pumpkin, because you boys are super duper smart and you're good listeners. So your first question might look like this. And if you'd like, after you put your stem on, because the directions say stem, and again, look for those words, even though we can't read them, look for the words, can't read them yet. Look for the words that you see on here, and that will help you. All right, and after you draw your stem on, if you want to go back when it's your coloring time, you can go back and you can color your pumpkin in. All right, so our next question says, what part of the pumpkin is slimy? And we can look back here, but remember we said this part is slimy. That's the pulp. And if we look at here, we can remember that she's making that face. Oh, and you know what? It's so cold too. So it's slimy and cold. So it says which part of the pumpkin is slimy, and we know that that part is the pulp. Because the shell, they're asking you if it's the pulp or the shell. And remember we said the shell is the outside of the pumpkin. All right, and question number 3, it says circle a jack-o'-lantern. What's the difference between these two pumpkins, boys? One is a pumpkin that looks like it was just picked from the vine, and the next pumpkin is one that's carved for Halloween. So which one would we call a jack-o'-lantern? Good. We're going to do the one with the picture carved out of it, the face carved out of it. That's the jack-o'-lantern, and it's asking us to circle that. So we're going to go ahead and circle that. Our last question, number 4, is Draw a face on your pumpkin. Okay, this is the part where you laugh at Miss Sheila because she is not the awesome drawer that you guys are, but that's okay. People are good at different things, right? So I'm just going to draw a quick face on my jack-o'-lantern. All right, and then you can draw any face you want, and you can go back when it's coloring time, and you can start coloring that jack-o'-lantern in. Now, if you want to get fancy, I started with an orange crayon, but as you can see in the pictures I showed you, that pumpkins come in all different shades. So if you want your jack-o'-lantern to be blue, go for it because it's your creation and there are blue pumpkins. All right, so that's your Let's Find Out lesson. So you're going to watch the video, you're going to read through the pamphlet again, and then you can go ahead and Mom and Dad might have to help you with those 2 worksheets. All right, there's 2 other worksheets that I want to do. I'm just going to go over them quickly with you. Today's Wednesday, and after this, we're going to have our Zoom call. But your one worksheet is triangles. Remember, thumbs together, pointer fingers up. This is a triangle. So we're going to trace our triangle. So it's kind of connecting the dots. And we're going to see how many triangles we can find. We see triangles every day. Triangles have 3 sides. All right, and if we connect our dots, we can see these triangles. I think the triangle that I see most during this time of year is the triangles I see on jack-o'-lanterns, or the triangles that I see on a slice of pizza, or maybe a triangle. Let's think, boys. Think of foods we eat. So anything that's round that we cut, like a slice of pie, would be a triangle. At this worksheet, you're going to see the sail of your boat, your ice cream cone, and your teepee, and they're all going to be triangles. So it's asking you to connect the dots, and then when it's time to color, that's going to be your coloring worksheet. If you could think of things that are shaped like triangles that I can't think of, let's talk about that in our Zoom call this afternoon. All right, and this can be worked on all week. We usually do this on Tuesdays, but we had our field trip. So this is the letter of the week. It's letter C. Letter C is for comb, for car, for cat. If we look over here closer, I'm going to bring this to you. We see a cow, we see a cake, a candle, a coat, and then the cat, of course. These are all C words. C is a cup. C is a cup, so you can make your hand into a C. And it's okay, and I hope that if Mom and Dad have time to do this, because your friends in class, I do this for them. But I just lightly make our letters. I'm going to show you. And then they trace them. So it's okay. It's really light. Can you guys see it's a light green? But I wrote the letters on here, and then you guys trace them and get in the habit of starting from the top and going down. We're starting and looping, making a loop. So it's kind of an almost finished O for Oliver, but we're stopping. We're starting here and we are going around and we're stopping there. So that's the letter C, that's the letter of the week. And you guys can do that today, or you can work on it whenever you have time. All right, so Scholastic today, your 2 worksheets, your handout that says parts of the pumpkin with a little cat. You see our black cat? Scat the cat. And your triangle worksheet and your letter C worksheet whenever you get a chance to do that. All right, so on the Zoom call today, we're going to talk about, we're going to go back to what we saw on the field trip that you watched yesterday. And we're also going to talk about things that could be shaped like triangles that I am just drawing a blank. I can't think. So maybe you guys can come up with something awesome that's shaped like a triangle. All right, boys, I'll see you in a little while on the Zoom call. If you haven't done the Scholastic by the time we're on the Zoom call, that's fine. I know you do your work later in the afternoon. But we're going to chit-chat about our field trip, and we're going to talk about triangles. So I'll see you soon, guys. Keep up the good work.